Fede Alvarez does it again. And by it, I mean taking an original IP, making a sequel decades later the last or the original movie was made, and not really understanding what made these original movies good, but trying to be somewhat faithful to the universe, but completely failing because apparently his own ideas of what this universe should do is superior to whatever IP he's meddling with. It's very clear that he doesn't know what made Alien and Aliens good movies, completely fails at understanding what made them good, but instead gives you a visual spectacle that is honestly quite enjoyable. Welcome to Late Reviews. This is of course my review of Romulus, Alien Romulus, made by Fede Alvarez, who also gave us Evil Dead, a movie I have reviewed on this channel. Alien Romulus, it just takes all we know about Alien, especially Alien up till the third movie, even up till the fourth movie I would say. It takes everything we know about it, all the established lore, and just honestly, it shits on it. It completely shits on it.
You really think they're gonna let you interfere with their plans for this thing? They think we're crud.
So this will be a relatively spoiler-free review. I will try not to spoil anything that happens in the movie, but I will talk about all the elements that I think are issues and that I think are good. And some of the issues of course, why it's such a bad Alien movie, I will have to comment on them, just to give you an idea of why it's a bad Alien movie. And I will pick, so the more spoiler-free things to pick out, that might seem like nitpicks, but will give you an idea of how little respect and how little attention to detail this movie has. I should also say, of course, I watched this in the cinema, so I don't have much material to show you. Mostly just gonna be clips of the trailer I'll have to show up here, or the promotional material. I can't really give you much else, it's just mostly it'll mostly be me talking. And I hope you don't mind this face. It's what I have. I can't really give you much else. I mean, I could try to do the whole review like this, but I'm not sure that would be much better. Who am I kidding? Of course it's much better. Look at that, it's Stallone, and it's Arnold, and it's a Xenomorph. Of course it's better than my face, but I think just doing it like this would be a bit difficult for me. So, it will be my face. So what I will say about the plot that won't spoil much, because that's what you were told in the first 10 minutes of the film. The film opens up at a mining colony. We are presented with actually, one thing I do like about the movie, it adds to the world building. It shows how this future is completely destroyed by conglomerate capitalism, by monopoly capitalism. At least that is one very easy interpretation. Essentially because it has made people indentured servants. So slavery exists in this future, and Wayland Industries is just such a powerful company that it controls these mining worlds, that it controls these colonies, and just enslaves people. And that's how it opens. It opens up in one of these slave colonies. That's what it is. It is this really grim future where companies essentially own people. And it actually plays a big role in this whole movie because people are dying all around. These mining worlds are they are akin to 19th century mines. So people are walking around with the canaries because people just die all the time. And all our entire cast are young people because all the parents are dead, because all the parents are miners. And I don't really understand the logic here because the planet has, I think, a population of 2,500. So I don't understand how it keeps replenishing itself when these people arrive. Honestly, there's a lot of the world building that doesn't make sense. And although I do like the reason why our cast is teenagers, watching a movie with a lot of annoying teenagers in an alien setting, one of the parallels I drew was, this is like watching Maze Runner set in the Alien universe. That all these teenagers are up against aliens, and it feels like so many other movies. I do like a more mature cast for the Alien movies. It makes more sense. Again, I do understand why they do it with the teenagers. Also, the execution of it is where it falls apart, because these teenagers, they want to get off this planet, and they need some technology that they see is on this abandoned Wayland Industries station that is orbiting this mining planet, and they are going there, and that's where the movie is set. And they have to hurry up because this space station will collide with the ring of the planet, like a Saturn, so the asteroid ring, or whatever you would call it, rock ring around the planet, the asteroid belt. It will collide with it within 36 hours or maybe sooner, and therefore it's one of those not run against the time, but one of the clock movies. I forgot the right term here. One of the clock is ticking movies. I'll just call it that. The ticking clock movie. And that also adds to a lot of the issues with how it treats the Alien universe, because it has to really mess up the Alien universe to do this, to achieve this. Another issue is that we're then not given any time to get invested in these characters. We are, of course, given a few more minutes with the lead compared to the rest. The other ones are just very one-dimensional characters. One of them is pregnant. That's her. That's her personality. One of them doesn't like androids. That's his personality. One of them is hot. That's his personality. And one of them is a pilot and is the only one not speaking solely English. I think she speaks Mandarin or Japanese. In one scene. So that's her personality. She's she's a bit more. She's more of the space trucker type, so she's kind of cool. Probably my favorite character, except for the two androids. The two androids in this movie are the best characters. Ironically, because they're fleshed out more, at least the main android is fleshed out more, it's a more interesting character with more development. And the acting is really good, especially because the first android goes through different stages where the android has to change a lot, adapting to different personalities almost. And I think it really works very, very well. I think the android acting in this movie is the best acting in it. Also, one of the points I want to emphasize why it's good. There is some uncanny valley in it, also because they brought in a now deceased actor to play one of the androids, to blend it in more with the Alien universe. I think it's okay to do that, because Uncanny Valley is really good for androids. Androids need Uncanny Valley. So I think that's completely fine. I think it worked really well in the movie, and that's the main plot. Again, we are not giving any character development, any reason to care for these characters. The only reason why you might empathize with these people is because they're indentured servants on a planet and want to break free. So you might empathize with the mission, but you're not given any reason to really care for them. You're not getting any investment in their characters. One of the biggest issues, Alien Covenant has a lot of issues. Alien Covenant is a terrible movie, but it really does have a lot of the same issues. And that's when I say that this movie doesn't understand at all what makes Alien or Aliens good. Alien and Aliens give you a lot of time to get invested in the characters, especially Alien. You have so much time where you get to know all these people, you get to sympathize with them, you get to have them fleshed out, show these different personalities, their group dynamic. This movie doesn't do that. This movie doesn't do that at all. Again, you don't understand why Alien is a good movie, or Aliens is a good movie. Clearly, Fede Alvarez doesn't understand that. Of course, it's not the only thing that makes Alien and Aliens good movies, but it's a big factor in it.
I did not realize that. Yeah. Russell, did you realize that?
No, I did not realize that.
Okay, so now I'll be talking about the issues with how it treats the established lore of Aliens. I'll not get into every single detail or anything, and I will also then move on to talk about just some of the plot inconsistencies or issues with the plot in this movie, and then I will end with the positives. So one example I can give you that is very spoiler light, but that will tell you just how little they care about the established lore. This film has a new pulse rifle. I should tell you that Aliens from 1979 is set in 2122. This film is set 20 years later in 2142. And Aliens is set in 2159, I think. I will correct myself if that is wrong on the screen here. So the problem here is this movie has a pulse rifle in it. It is set in the film, oh, this is standard issue Colonial Marines pulse rifle. This is what all the Colonial Marines use. I know that because I've seen it in video games when the character says that. So this is not some odd pulse rifle. I have read online afterwards that, oh, no, this is just a prototype. One thing is the prototype doesn't make sense at all for the lore. The second of all, that's not what they say in the movie. I don't think that's what they say in the movie. You can correct me. I might be wrong about that. Again, I only watched this once and I didn't have a note to write everything down. So I don't think that's what they say in the movie. And this rifle is so much more advanced than the M41A pulse rifle of Aliens. It has automatic targeting system. The magazines, everything about it is so much more advanced. It looks more futuristic. So you're telling me that a movie that is set 35 years prior to the movie where this standard issue assault rifle, combat rifle, is technologically inferior to what they have here, it doesn't make sense. A comparison I can make is today we have laser-guided ballistic missiles, really advanced technology that really can just hammer down where we want it. It would be akin if we had that technology 35 years ago, and today just use, World War II era grenade launchers and artillery pieces. I guess that's what's happening in Ukraine right now, but that's not really standard issue. It's more depletion of resources, and that modern technology sometimes fails. and that it really doesn't make sense that the technology would get worse in this universe, especially when it's Wayland Technologies that creates all these things. So why does the technology get worse 35 years later? It's really stupid, and it feels like Fede Alvarez just, I'll do this cool thing, even though it makes no sense, because that's his entire mind. This is the entire way of thinking when making movies. He really doesn't care about established lore. He's just doing whatever he wants, or whoever is writing this does whatever they want just to make a cool movie, not caring about the material, again, the source material. Honestly, this problem is exacerbated when you think about that it is established that sometimes these planets are 10, 15 years or more between each other. So military innovation will take several decades to reach the outer limits, the outer reaches of the human colonial empire. So new innovations that would be standard issue 35 years later, those would probably be the ones that might be invented around this time. So it could have given us a prototype of what we would see, but this prototype should not be better than what we see. It's so stupid. It's such a stupid thing to do. And that's why I bring it up. This is a very minor thing overall. It's a pet peeve. But it tells you how little they care about the source material. How little they care to fit this movie into the overall established Alien universe. Honestly, there's a lot of just how little it cares. But I can't say a lot of it without really spoiling it. The ending opens up for a lot of glaring issues. I'll not go into that in the video. What I will say, so I did say there are time constraints to this film. In the Alien and Aliens, the time it takes from someone to get a face hugger in the face, to get impregnated, and then to have it burst out, it takes a while. I forgot to look it up before filming, so I'll put it up here exactly how long it takes, or how long it probably takes in those movies. This movie, quite possibly, from what is shown, the same face huggers that we have in the other movies, 10 minutes. Depending on the scene, I didn't sit there and count time, so 10-15 minutes. From impregnation to chest burst. And then from chest burst to full Xenomorph, another 10-15 minutes. And we know that because, again, this is a ticking clock movie. Do you understand how big of a problem this is? Do you understand how stupid that is compared? It's just frustrating. It's frustrating to see it treat the source material this bad, this poorly.
Look how they massacred my boy.
Again, it's not the only issue with the source material, but I think that's why we'll leave it here, that what it does is just, it completely messes up the entire established lore. There are some issues, plot issues, I am not sure I got right. I think at some point they say that only 7 people worked in the space station, even though it's huge. And the opening scene shows way more than 7 people. But maybe I misheard. There were also subtitles, so maybe also misread. Maybe it said 17, and that makes more sense. So that's up for grabs. I'm not sure it's a plot issue or not. But maybe someone who saw it can confirm they say 7. Or maybe they say more. But it does blend in, so... For much of the movie, we think there'll only be one alien in it, one Xenomorph. Spoiler! At one scene they just come out of nowhere. So they decide to show up when it's convenient for the plot. It's so bad. I hate when movies are convenient like this. It could have been so much better if they only had one Xenomorph, but of course they need to have a bloodbath, and these Xenomorphs are much easier to kill than previously. Of course it can maybe be explained with the new weapon, but it's honestly stupid in a way. I think the easier to kill is not as bad as them showing up out of nowhere just when it's convenient for the plot. It's honestly just really stupid. The way Xenomorphs behave is also worse. They are more show-offs. They like to flex a bit more. They take more time to do the things. The way the facehuggers act is also different from the first 2 movies, and also not ideal. And one other plot issue I have with it, so it has an android as a central character. And this android is shown to sometimes need to reboot. The first time it happens, it doesn't take long. It takes a few seconds, it seems. The second time it happens, when it's very convenient for the plot, it's set to take minutes. The third time it happens, when it's convenient for the plot, it again takes seconds. Now, the first time it might make sense why it takes a few seconds. The second time and the third time, it should take more or less the same time. So it's only because it's convenient for the plot, and it's quite bad. It's really, really bad when the movie decides to do this, when it breaks its own established rules. I hate it when movies do this, and it's just a sin. It's a movie sin. Don't break your established rules. Don't break your established lore. It's a terrible thing to do. That's the bad things I had to say about the movie. I could go on, but I do want to again end on a positive note, and I don't want to spoil everything or say everything about the movie. Positive things. So I mentioned, oh yeah, okay, they have this futuristic assault rifle, but actually a lot of the technology in it is faithful to the first movie from '79. It is this retro-futuristic with these very boxy computers, these old DOS prompts and everything. It's faithful in that way. It's not completely faithful, but it's close enough, and I did like that. I think that was good. It has some very nice ideas and some very nice scenes. It plays a lot with gravity and zero gravity going between the two. I think that's cool. It has some cool scenes. I think even though I have problems with how the whole parasite alien development thing works in the movie, the gore, the chest bursting, the scenes, it has some really, really good visuals. I'll give it that. It has good visuals. Fede Alvarez knows how to do visuals. It's just, good scenes in an empty movie, or good scenes in a shitty story doesn't make a good movie. Talking about not just those visuals, the gore visuals, it had some really, really cool scenes with acid. It has some really cool scenes from space with things colliding. I'm not gonna say more, but the visual aspects, Fede Alvarez knows how to make a movie visually compelling. So Ridley Scott is also a producer on the movie, so maybe Ridley Scott knows how to make a movie appealing. Guess he does, that's kind of his thing. It does have good qualities. It's not all bad. And I left the cinema thinking, it's alright if you can ignore the fact it's an aliens movie. All the faults of it, all the flaws, all the plot issues, plot holes, it's what you just expect from your run-of-the-mill movie these days. And that's why they didn't annoy me to a terrible extent. The biggest issues is how it's an aliens movie. If this was a movie set in any other universe, it would be a completely fine movie. It would be not a high recommendation, but an easy recommendation, especially to see in the cinema. But because it treats the alien universe in this piss poor manner, if I'm being honest, it completely shits over it. All over it. Huge pile. Diarrhea all over it. It's just... It's frustrating that this movie exists, but I'm also not as angry as a diehard fan would be. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you love Alien, maybe don't watch this movie. If you like the Alien universe but don't care too much about it, if you don't even care that much about the Alien universe, for those two groups, this movie might be a completely fine viewing. It will be very forgettable, but it does some things right, and therefore I can't really hate on it. It has some really good visuals, especially towards the ending. It's one of those movies that, to me, I forgot how bad aspects of it were while watching it, just because visually it's really good. It's so good visually. The plot is terrible. The characters are terrible. What it does to the lore is terrible. So if you're more a visual person than a plot person or a lore person, this is an easy recommendation for you. I hope I have given you an idea if this is a movie for you that you would like to watch. I am very happy to hear your comments, especially if you got something out of it that I didn't, or maybe if you caught some even more plot issues than I did. I definitely would have missed something, might have even more issues, or it might be even better than I give it credit for. So I'm very happy to hear your comments. I will also say I did watch this the same day I watched Longlegs. It wasn't a double billing, but I did just go from one auditorium to the next. And I watched both with the same person. And I have made a very short review of Longlegs as well, or I will make a very short review of Longlegs. So you can watch that one if you're interested in that movie. I will spoiler warning for my own video. It's very short, and my video is just a recommendation. So you can also just ignore that video and say, just take my words for it now, that you should watch Longlegs. I think I should finish it here. The longer I go on for, the more I just have to edit it, and the more difficult it will be to have this released in time for you to maybe catch it in the cinema if you want to. So yes, I hope you found this review insightful. Give me your comments if you have any comments. Maybe subscribe, I don't know. Yeah, that's it. Have a nice one.